and greetings from Munich, Germany. In today's video, we're going to be taking you on a grand tour across the city, showing you some of the attractions you simply cannot miss on your trip to the Bavarian capital. Together, we'll feast our eyes on the treasures inside the former royal palace, we'll set foot in churches that hold all sorts of relics, we'll go in search of some rather unique art installations, we'll enjoy some of the green spaces the city has to offer, and of course, there will also be food and beer along the way, because this is Munich after all. So join us as we share 25 things to do in Munich, Germany. The following is our Munich travel guide, and we have plenty of tips for your visit.
Well, we've arrived at the main square, Marienplatz, on a sunny Saturday afternoon in the fall. Actually, it's probably summer's last hurrah, 25 degrees, pure sun, and everyone is here. I was a little bit shocked when we came up from, was it the U-Bahn or the S-Bahn?
Yes, S-Bahn.
When we came up from the S-Bahn, came out of the exit, it was just like, whoa, look at all these people. And it is packed in the square. But my goodness, is there some fascinating architecture here. I mean, you just come out and you're kind of wowed.
Marienplatz is Munich's central square, and there are quite a few attractions here, such as City Hall and its famous Glockenspiel. This musical clock sits in the tower of the new City Hall, and it was inspired by the tournaments that were held in this very square during the Middle Ages. The figures you see depict the marriage of Duke Wilhelm V to Renata of Lorraine, complete with a jousting match taking place in front of the newlyweds, as well as dancing Coopers spinning in circles. The Glockenspiel rings every day at 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. during the summer months. The songs change month to month, and the performances can last anywhere between 12 to 15 minutes depending on the songs played. It's definitely worth seeing at least once during your visit to Munich. Our next stop was Frauenkirche, also known as Munich Cathedral. This is a late Gothic church that dates back to the 15th century, and it is one of the main landmarks in the Old Town. Don't miss the tomb of Ludwig the Bavarian, who was also crowned Holy Roman Emperor. His tomb is to your right-hand side just as you enter the church, and it's an impressive monument done in black marble with bronze figures. The cathedral's crypt also houses the tombs of members of the noble house of Wittelsbach, as well as the archbishops of Munich and Freising. Okay, so we just finished visiting Frauenkirche, which means the Cathedral of Our Lady. This is the symbol of Munich right here. It's an iconic church, and it is so impressive in there. Like, it is beautiful. The stained glass. Yeah. Also, the bells. I should mention the bells are going off right now. So the sound is just echoing across the old town. So yeah, we went down to the crypt and just admired the artwork, the religious artwork. More bells are joining the chorus. And I wanted to mention, there is an elevator, like you can actually go up one of the towers. However, they're doing renovations at the moment, so it's closed to the public. But technically, if you came here another time, you can go up the elevator, have views of the old town. Someone working inside actually recommended a different church we can go to for city views, or even City Hall.
Well,
What a difference between the first cathedral and that second church, huh?
Yes, this one was very different. This was actually Asam Kirche, or the Church of the Asam Brothers, because it's a private church. So it's basically one brother was a sculptor, the other one was a painter. They came together and built their own private church, or private chapel, if you will. And it is stunning in there. It's late Baroque and Rococo style. So as elegant as it gets.
Yeah.
Pastel shades, soft pinks.
Did you notice the golden skeleton?
I did, at the entrance.
That was one of my favorite parts.
It was just like, where do I look? You kind of need to sit on the pew for a while and just soak it all in. And the cool thing is that they actually put on concerts, and they have like organ concerts that I saw announced for 15 euros a person. They're not happening while we're here, but if you wanted to enjoy some classical music, you can do so at a church.
Yeah, I can see why that would be the case. It's not that big inside. They would have good acoustics, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And they have their own organ on the balcony on the second story, so beautiful.
Ho, ho, ho.
After continuing our walk down the pedestrian street, we reached Sendlinger Tor. This is a restored 14th century red brick gate that was once one of the entrance points into the city. It's just a short walk from the Asam Church, so it's worth a quick visit if you're already in the area. We then hopped on the U-Bahn and rode the train to the Deutsches Museum Verkehrszentrum. The Deutsches Museum has several branches, and we visited the one that's dedicated to transportation. This museum sits just north of Bavaria Park, and it is spread out across 3 halls showcasing all sorts of cool vehicles. My personal favorite was this futuristic car that almost seemed inspired by a spaceship. Well, we just finished visiting a pretty cool museum. That was your pick.
It's called the Deutsches Museum Verkehrszentrum. Very, very interesting museum. 3 halls, and it's dedicated to all modes of transportation dating back to the 19th century. So you've got trains, you've got automobiles, you've got motorcycles, racing cars, trams, funiculars, anything you can think of or not think of, including penny farthing, right?
Penny farthings.
Penny farthing.
Penny farthings.
Penny farthings are in there too. So I mean, yeah, it's just an amazing collection. It sort of reminded me of the Enzo Ferrari museum we visited when we were in Italy. Just a beautiful display. What wasn't lost upon me is just how nice they polished and made everything look. It just looks incredible. Some of those vehicles look as though they were made yesterday, but in a vintage style, obviously. And yeah, it was a great museum. Nice way to cool off for a bit. And it was only €7 per adult, so definitely worth your time if you're going by this area. And I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so we made it to our next attraction. I thought this was a bit of a cool, artsy, urban stop. This piece right here is called The Staircase to Nowhere. Now, normally you are allowed to like climb up to the top and then kind of spiral back down, but Corona times, there is a sign that says climbing prohibited at the moment, so that's not happening today. But I mean, we still enjoyed coming here and being able to check it out, taking a few photos. It's pretty cool. This art installation is the work of Danish artist Olafur Eliasson, and it sits in the atrium of an office building. If you're looking to visit some unusual attractions in Munich, this one is right up there. We then walked over to Bavaria Park, which was built by King Ludwig I as an English-style park between 1826 and 1831. This park was originally called Theresienhain, but it was renamed Bavaria Park after the bronze statue of Bavaria was unveiled. The next morning, we continued our exploration of Munich, this time starting off at Odeonsplatz, which is a large square just north of the Old Town. We visited the Field Marshal's Hall with its impressive lion sculptures, and we also enjoyed the colorful art installations seemingly floating above the square. While we were in the area, we decided to have a look at the Theatine Church, which is painted bright yellow and has a Rococo facade. The interior was all white, a stark contrast from the exterior, and it had a lot of intricate details that drew your gaze upwards. There are so many things to do in Munich, but one place you should really make time for is Munich Residence. This was the former royal palace of the Wittelsbach monarchs of Bavaria, and today it is open for visitors to enjoy. We walked through countless royal rooms, corridors, and galleries, each more impressive than the last. This is definitely a place where you want to come with plenty of time because there's a lot to see. Well, guys, we just finished touring probably one of the most impressive palaces I've ever walked through.
It's way up there.
Wow. So, yeah, we visited Munich Residence.
Yeah.
Finding the entrance was a little hard, let me tell you. We did a full loop around through the courtyards and little doors.
We went to 95% of the areas you shouldn't go before we found the entrance.
So just so you know, it's on the south side.
Yeah.
South side. There you go.
But my goodness, is it ever massive?
Yes. Largest city palace in all of Germany. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like the opulence, the glamour, the wealth, the art in there. It was just all so impressive. Some highlights. Okay. Probably the Antiquarium. That was near the beginning, and it was just this amazing gallery lined with busts and sculptures and paintings. It's like you almost don't know where to look. It was so beautiful. And then also there's this other room, I forget the name of it, but it looks like a grotto, and it's decorated entirely with seashells.
Yeah.
Like,
and we're not even talking about the royal residence at this point.
Yeah.
We went to another residence and we thought that was the royal residence, but no, it wasn't. We hadn't even got to the King's Throne, which is near the end of the tour. Yeah, it's the kind of place that you could literally spend the whole day there. If you spent time in every room, really took it all in. Otherwise, you're looking at hours. It's not one of those 15, 30-minute attractions, that's for sure.
No, it's like once you're in there, you kind of have to walk through the maze.
You do.
So
you got to complete the circuit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we highly recommend it, even if you're palaced out, templed out, cathedraled out.
Yeah. This one is worth it. Make time for this one. And admission was €9 per person. They store your bags right at the entrance for free. And now that we've exited the palace, we're at the gardens, the palace gardens, directly behind. And I mean, that itself is a work of art, a thing of beauty.
Yeah, beautiful, open to the public, free. You actually see people biking, you see people walking. We're just sitting down by a tree. It's very comfortable here.
Yes.
And we're going to be heading to the next garden.
Next garden. More gardens coming up.
Yeah.
Sam, look at this one. I've never seen a duck like this. Oh!
So we've been walking around the English garden now for almost an hour, it seems, building up a bit of an appetite for lunch, and it is a beautiful green escape. One of the largest green parks in all of Germany, apparently, and we're not even gonna see a fraction of it. It's that big. Some really interesting features included there is a Japanese tea house that unfortunately is currently closed. We saw some ducks up close and personal. And yeah, we've noticed that people are kind of flocking towards the stream area, just hanging out, having a picnic, sunbathing. Clothing is apparently optional out here. We have seen a few nudists. Obviously not filming that, but you just take my word for it. But yeah, it's been a fun place to hang out, and now we've built up an appetite, so it's time for lunch.
We couldn't possibly film a travel guide to Munich without also mentioning the local cuisine. We do have a whole separate video dedicated to everything we ate in Munich, but some of the dishes we'd recommend trying include Schweinshaxe, a crispy pork knuckle that was served with potato dumplings, Spätzle, a cheesy noodle dish topped with crispy fried onions, and Kaiserschmarren, a dessert featuring fluffy scrambled pancakes with icing sugar and apple and berry sauce. So I've had my first bite. It kind of reminds me of something between a pancake and a flan, or like a pancake and a custard. Like it's got a bit of movement, a jiggly texture, can we say?
Jello jiggly texture.
This is very nice. This is very filling. The following day, we decided to go in search of some epic city views, which is how we ended up at the Neues Rathaus, or New Town Hall. The main tower has a height of 85 meters and can be accessed by visitors via elevator. Well guys, there are a few different ways to enjoy the city views, specifically of the old town here in Munich. You can choose from church towers, church steeples, or City Hall. We ended up choosing City Hall just because there was no lineup. It's a Monday morning right now, and we just went, we bought our tickets, €6 per person, and then we got up here, and we are the only ones. Like, we basically have this whole place to ourselves, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not as scary as some of the other church towers and church steeples we've climbed recently. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can see 360-degree views of the city, you know, all the red rooftops, you can see the old town, all the people walking around in the square. I'd say this is well worth it. What do you think, Sam?
The views are incredible, and we didn't even have to do any work to get up here. It's all as elevators.
We rode an elevator, no stairs.
Yeah, very efficient, and it's just great to, it's always great to get a view of a city from above. I mean, it just gives you a whole different perspective.
We've shown you quite a few churches in this video so far, and another very popular one is St. Peter's Church, sometimes nicknamed Old Pete. This is Munich's oldest church, and before the founding of Munich as a city in 1158, there was already a church in this spot, so the city is believed to have grown from this very place. St. Peter's Church houses the jeweled skeleton of Saint Munditia. She is believed to have been martyred in the year 310 AD, though her remains were transferred here from the Roman catacombs many centuries later in 1675. She is wrapped in a netting with encrusted jewels, and in her hand she holds a glass container filled with dried blood from her martyrdom. She is one of the main draws to this church. Just down the hill from St. Peter's, you'll reach Viktualienmarkt, an outdoor food market where you can find stands selling everything from cheese wheels and deli meats to wines and fresh flowers. We actually came to the market to enjoy the beer garden, so here's a little taste of that. So this is the beef goulash, and it comes with dumplings, Semmelknödel.
The gravy looks
very nice.
Dankeschön. Dankeschön. Wow, so we've been wanting to try this pork knuckle for a while. And this is actually the Oktoberfest special that they're serving here at the beer garden.
And that's half the pork knuckle, I'll mention. The real one is even bigger, but who can eat a whole pork knuckle?
Yeah, that may put me in a food coma if I was to have a full one. Dare I attack the crispiest part?
Attack the crispy pork knuckle.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that is delicious. Super, super crispy on the outside. Tender, juicy in the middle. Oh my goodness, it goes along so well with the gravy.
If you're looking for unique places to visit around Munich, Futuro Haus is another place to add to your list. This rare 1960s UFO house was designed by Finnish architect Matti Suronen, and less than 100 of them were ever made. You can find this UFO by the Pinakothek der Moderne, and while you're there, you can also enjoy the Modern Art Museum. If you're looking for a fun tour to do in Munich, we would highly recommend the Beer and Bavarian Food Tour, which took us to the Oktoberfest Museum and a few different beer halls over the course of the evening. We got to sample all sorts of beer along the way, including Helles, Dunkles, and Weissbier. Plus, we ended off the night at the Hofbräuhaus, which is the most famous beer hall in all of Munich.
It's like going to a sporting event, a birthday party, and a beer garden, of course, all rolled into one. So guys, in terms of getting around Munich, there's fantastic public transportation. You have the U-Bahn, you have the S-Bahn, and you have the tram system. What we ended up doing was purchasing a weekly card in the M zone, and the system functions by zone. So M is kind of like the core area of Munich, and as you get further to the outskirts, you'd be in like zone 1 or 2 or 3. When you're like entering this into the system, into the machine at the train station, if you say where you're going, like where your hotel is, then it'll tell you what zone you're in. So fortunately, we were in zone M, and all the attractions we visited in the city have been in zone M. So it's been great. We've basically we got a whole week's pass for 1780 euros, unlimited usage, and it's just been a great way to get around. We've also done a lot of walking, obviously, but we take the S-Bahn into the center of town every single day.
And that is our travel guide to Munich. From historic royal residences to centuries-old churches and lush green spaces to modern art installations, we hope this video gave you a few ideas of what you can see and do in Munich, Germany. As always, we only scratch the surface, so if you have any other suggestions of things to do in Munich that you'd like to share with fellow travelers, feel free to do so in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to join us in our upcoming travels across Bavaria. Tschüss!